Hello and welcome to another video. And have you ever found that the refinery and assembly of components in Space Engineers is just a little too simple? I mean, pictured here, we have a single refinery block and an assembler block, and that's it. Realistically, that's all you need to process and build anything in the game. It might take a while, but it'll get the job done. And it's extremely simple and very small footprint. What if it was more complicated though? What if you are a Satisfactory or Factorio player that really enjoys having those complex and lengthy production lines with multiple different resources and multiple different structures to do the processes? Well, there's an answer for you, and that is the Industrial Overhaul mod. This is going to be a mod spotlight on Industrial Overhaul 1.0 made by Clockwork Industries, and I'm really excited to do this. This is brand new, as in within the last week new sort of feeling, which I love getting these right on the ground floor. This mod is amazing. It adds so many additional resources, a bunch of new processes that must be done in order to build your components, and a tier system so that it's easily worked through. You start in the basics and you work up and you get better automation, and then eventually you're just killing it with some massive, what is these things at the very end, like nano assemblers. We're going to get to that in a bit. But you can find it on the workshop here. Just search for Industrial Overhaul 1.0 and you shall find it. It is also essentially on the front page of the workshop. If you just go to items, it's right there right now, so you can find it. Let's go take a look. So this is all we needed in vanilla, but I've made a platform that shows off everything that we need and can build in the mod. And there's all the different tiers there on the left with their different color coding. There's a bunch of different new items on the right here in the white area. They're all labeled, so we'll go through them one by one and test them all out. Just starting off, if you had fallen down in your drop pod with a survival kit, you will come to tier 1, basic tier. Now this isn't much different than your standard tier. The different resources we are going to be using are silicon, nickel, cobalt, but now we have copper and iron. So copper being that new resource mainly to be making electromagnets, copper wires, heating elements, and computers. Basic computers, because there's multiple levels of computers. Now, within your survival kit, it still acts as, your healing source, but if we take a look at its production, we can make copper wires and electromagnets right now from copper ingots. So you see there, copper wire to ingots, electromagnets is iron and copper wire. You still have the construction components and steel plates, which just take iron. The survival kit will be able to process those basic materials out of stone, just like normal, and you'll be able to start off building that. Once you're able to get yourself large grid, you can then move up to an assembling bench. Now this guy is capable of producing even more. We've got acid power cells and copper wires, heating elements, lighting bulbs, radio components and such. But it can't do it manually. This thing can't do it automatically. You must feed it with resources and take the resources out when it's produced. It does not have any conveyors on it. So this is a very manual process. Come up here, put in your resources, choose your craft, and then take your resources out. But with what you make from here, you can get around to building up a smelter, which will allow you to smelt even more resources and get some better return on your stone and such that you're putting in. That catapults you out of tier 1 and into tier 2 automation, where here we add in, of course, we have everything from before, but also bauxite, aluminum plates, which is essentially replacing interior plates, concrete, girders, glass, motors, light bulbs, and radio communication components. You can see that this thing could actually build those, some of those things like the light bulbs and the radio comms before, but you wouldn't have access to the glass or the small steel tubes yet in order to do it, unless you salvage them. But where this was an entirely manual process, you can now build the same things, however, automatically out of a fabricator, essentially a basic assembler, as you can see on the block there. So now you can conveyor this thing up and have it produce things automatically. However, you can see that the automatic production for this is only a few select items. We got the electromagnet, heating elements, light bulbs, basic computers, construction components, and metal grids. Where's the rest of it? We don't even have steel plates here. What? The thing is you need all of these other machines in order to build individual components. So like for a wire drawer here, as you can see, this spool, and I wonder if this has a wonderful animation. I do not know. I must check. We can make copper wire out of copper ingots. We got gold wire, and we got superconductors. Rubber will come later. So obviously we can't make these yet, but we can make copper wire. So we could let's just cheat in a little bit of copper ingots here. That will go 100 copper ingots, spawn that object, and throw it in there. Does this have an animation to it? Oh no! I wanted the little drum to spin, and I want these little things to move. Okay, developer, make that happen. I want to see things moving, just like in Satisfactory. But you can see, producing copper wire at a ridiculous pace. Next up is an extruder. Well, what does extruding mean? It means to lengthen or like stretch. So obviously, this is girders and our tubes, large and small steel tubes. Excellent. Incinerator, I believe just does what it says. It's on like the name. It burns and destroys things. I'm not 100% sure of what this does. We can try it with our little our copper wire here that we gathered. So if I just throw in things, it burns them for carbon. Okay. And you get carbon out of that. Yeah, so it burns up the item, destroys it. So if you have any sort of, say, massive quantities of excess gravel or something, you can then throw them away and burn them for carbon, which I believe is used later. So like if we find some gravel and we've got like, oh, we've got 1,000 gravel. What are we going to do with that? Throw it in there and it just burns it up into carbon. Much, much smaller. Excellent. Ceramics furnace. This guy takes aluminum, potassium nitrate, silicon, ceramic. There's the carbon that you need. So you have to burn some stuff down for carbon in order to get stuff to make ceramics. And glass from your silicon wafers. So anything glass or tile-like in the ceramics furnace. The plate stamp, obviously, it's a metal stamp. We're going to be making our steel plates, aluminum plates, because these are future resources here that we'll get to, armored plates, and titanium plates. So another great thing about it, as you can see, this isn't just steel plate, and then later on you need like advanced metal stamper in order to make titanium plate. This building is useful going forward into the higher tiers. You just unlock it here. And then cement kiln, we take gravel to make concrete. And then you use concrete because there is concrete blocks, which we'll get to in a bit. That is tier 2, just getting things automated from the manual production of the assembling bench. Moving into tier 3, we have industrial, where we're going into different parts of oil, and this really blows the doors open in terms of how many resources you have available to you. Titanium, silver, gold, crude oil, fuel oil. We have the carbon start to be used here. plastics, sulfur, lithium, niter, and all of our different components for this stage, displays, acid power cells, medical components, rubbers. There's ceramics, solar cells, advanced computers, sensor clusters, gold wire, superconductors, synthetic fabrics, parachutes, titanium plates, and armored plates. Obviously, several of these things are made at previous level industrial buildings, but they become available at this level when you are able to get the resources needed to build the stuff from back there. At this level, you get our basic assembler and refinery. These are the vanilla blocks, and they do kind of what you expect. However, the assembler still doesn't produce everything. It produces some things. And the refinery, I believe, doesn't refine absolutely everything. It just refines some of the materials that are available. The Bitumen Extractor, and I've got a list here on my other monitors because I could never remember all of this. The Bitumen Extractor takes oil sand and produces that into crude oil. So wherever you find your oil sand in the world, you throw it into there, and it produces barrels of crude. At the oil cracker, you take that crude oil, and you go into this thing, and it produces fuel, oil, carbon, sulfur, and polymers, which then are multiple different things that then feed into multiple different structures over here. The chemical plant takes polymers from the oil cracker and creates plastics out of them. The microelectronics factory, God, this thing it's so complicated. What can you do, microelectronics factory? You can build advanced computers, basic computers, sensor clusters, and displays. Needing these advanced materials, there's plastic required there. You need a basic computer to build a sensor cluster, which I wonder if you queue one of those up, you'd have to queue up a basic, then one of those to build it. You have the gold wire and the plastic as well there. The auto loom. A loom. Oh, cool! Look at it's got the fabrics on it, and it's. Oh, that is such a good looking model. I really like that model. What do you build? What do you build is a very good question. You build synthetic fabrics and parachutes. Oh, so you take plastic and you weave it into fabrics. That's cool. So there's your parachute making factory. And then a munitions factory. Oh, look at the little bullets being made in there. Obviously, this place is to make all your gunpowder, your explosives, your missiles, and your ammo containers. Excellent. Moving on from Tier 3, we have Tier 4, the Atomic Age. Now, we get access to uranium, reactor components, lithium power cells, upgrade from our acid batteries that we were using prior to this, and laser emitters. And that all goes into the advanced assembler. Take a look inside there. I'm going to bring over the spectator camera so we can actually fly inside the block. Oh man. I know there's going to be no animation with this, but holy crap, if this was animated with all these little things moving in and little spark effects going off as these things are moving, this would be the best block in Space Engineers. Dude, if possible, that needs to happen. But what can you build? You can build our laser emitters, lithium power cells, and reactor components. It's really interesting. We don't even have the ability to build the basic materials, like the basic computers and such that the lower end assemblers did. You still need your low end stuff, even when you get the advanced stuff, because the advanced can only deal with the advanced stuff. Oh, that is excellent. Then moving on to Tier 5, we get the nano assembler along with these resources of platinum and I know titanium. What is this? Tantalum, I guess. Tantalum ore. And the nano assembler, which, let's take a look inside that. Ooh, that is so cool. Such an interesting model. This guy is able to produce our gravity components, thruster components, and quantum computers. Nice. You can see it's a computer with a couple chevrons on it. I'm guessing that'll be so that you know, you're able to tell at a glance when you look into a cargo container that, oh yeah, I've got multiple different computers. There's my high-level one. So you're able to pull it out. Nice. But there's a whole bunch of different resources going on in this world. It's just incredible the amount of processing you would need to do. Like, if you just wanted to build a basic thing, like, I wonder... Yeah, if you wanted to build a quantum computer, you would need an advanced computer. And to build an advanced computer, you would need to go back here. Where was the advanced computer? It was... Oh, the electronics, right? The microelectronics factory. It can build the advanced computer that needs gold out of a gold wire. Okay, gold wire needs to be done at the wire drawer. And it also needed plastic, which required a bitumen extractor and oil cracker to make the polymers, and then a chemical plant to make the plastic. Like, there's just this really cool production chains then. Then moving on to all the other blocks that are not a part of the production chains, but are added to the mod. Early on in the game, you're actually not going to have access to rubber, which becomes a required component of wheels. So, you need metal wheels in order to be able to make any form of rover in the early game. Hence, metal wheels. Kind of looking like the rover wheels on like Spirit and Opportunity Mars rovers with the, you know, the empty inside. I think they look awesome. We also have, once you've got the, I can't remember, this is the cement kiln, right? Yeah, once you've got the cement kiln, you can use up your spare gravel on concrete blocks. And they've got the different sizes here, real basic. There's not many armor shapes. Of course, you know, some armor shapes were just recently added, but I mean, if you're just going to be using this as like your flooring and such in a concrete base on a planet just to use up your extra gravel, you can make this work. Like, you don't really need much more than just this ramp in order to make an entrance to your base. You can make your walls out of just single blocks, and you can make it work. We also have one-way conveyors, as you can see by the little arrow on them, allowing you to separate out portions of your whole system. So if you have like one portion of your system that's working on, like, say, oil manufacturing, and then you have another portion of your system that's working on something else, and you just want it so that resources can flow one way, you don't have any backup, one-way conveyors. I think even without this giant industrial change, just that one-way conveyors would be a perfectly fine mod that would probably get 4 or 5 stars on the workshop. It's essentially just a conveyor sorter without having to configure it. You just plop it down and just, it's like a whitelist all going that way, just so that things stay organized. And it's awesome. Also, we have various different levels of standard blocks. The metal detector is a more basic version of the ore detector. I'm not sure if it's got a metal detector. Let's see here. It is Detector. Ooh, wow, 750 meters range. It's pretty good. And then the advanced drill. I'm not sure what's different about this advanced drill. I believe it is just like a larger area, or it drills faster, but advanced drill. Our different batteries here, they take in the normal battery. The battery that you would expect, just the normal Space Engineer's battery, is now the lithium battery. It has a maximum stored power of 3 and a maximum output, an input of 12. And then the acid battery has a maximum stored of 1.5 and an in and out of 6. So acid battery is 1/2 of a lithium battery. You'll start with the acid batteries after you're able to produce sulfur and such, and that'll be your way of power storage. Up until then, I don't think you actually really have power storage. You're pretty much going to have to run on solar and wind for all of this level. Wind for this level for sure. And then I believe you start getting into wherever you can start building solar cells will be where you can start doing solar. Here. So you can start doing solar cells on tier 3, and then we're running like fuel engines and hydrogen engines and stuff like that. You don't have power storage until you get to acid, which is part of sulfur, which is part of tier 3. So it completely changes how you're running your power. And then gasoline engine, it's a another form from the hydrogen engine that is capable, I believe, this is putting out 15 megawatts, and the hydrogen engine, what do you put out? 5. So 3 times a hydrogen engine, but needing those additional processing steps in order to get the gasoline required in order to do so. Continuing along, we have rocket fuel and its various tanks, which are used in the rocket thrusters. As we can see here, we have both the rocket thruster, and if I just put in say thruster, we have both hydrogen thrusters and rocket thrusters. So the rocket use rocket fuel, and I believe they're like super powerful but consume a lot of fuel. Great for like taking off from the planet. But then you'll get into space and you'll need to refuel them there. The hydrogen fuel is better, I believe, just for its standard things. Not 100% sure. I'll have to look through there's a giant guide related to this mod that you should probably read if you're interested, that gives a lot more details on what I'm doing here. But yeah, you can do hydrogen, rocket fuel, and there is a rocket thruster that uses that fuel. There's also gasoline tanks, which then will run your gasoline engines right here, which are just that more efficient fuel to use, say, on your base. At the high level, you do get laser turrets and laser guns. So, you have lasers. And if I throw down a quick target here, how about my my survival rover from the current series? Let's see how quickly my survival rover dies to a laser turret. Ooh. It is melting through it. Beautiful. And the different ones, we got the large laser turret, although it's kind of got a glitch with its thing. I'm not being able to see the laser, but you can see it is quite melting that, and did a fair amount of damage. And now it's going to clang hard. Goodbye. And stuff bouncing around. Producing another target here. We'll do the Overhauler version. We also have a gravel turret, which is a cheap version of a turret. You make this quite easily, and I believe you literally just use gravel for the ammunition, so you have a ton of that lying around at the beginning of the game. And it is just a rapid-fire turret. Very low damage, as you can see. I'm just plinking away. But it's something. Like, how long do I have to shoot at this cockpit in order to damage it severely? Are we even that damaged? Wow, we're only about halfway. It's not usable, but it's not that damaged comparatively. And then we have the large gravel turret, which fires more of like a howitzer shell. And it takes a long time to reload. Well, let's see what this does. Woohoo! That wheel is gone. And one more for good measure. There we go. Some good damage from that. Very cheap to build, if we take a look at that turret. Heavy gravel turret. Real basic materials here. Basic computers, copper wire, some steel tubes. Just iron and copper, essentially, at the beginning of the game. Very easy. Compressed air rifle to basically fire a rock. This is essentially a Space Engineer's potato gun, but firing gravel. I'll get rid of that. But yes, this is the Industrial Overhaul mod. I think this thing is amazing. I'm loving where it's going with all of the different buildings and production lines. The one other thing it does, I mean, make sure I get this in here, is that it changes how ores spawn. So let me grab the spectator camera and zip up real quick. And you may notice that normally in Space Engineers, on a lake of this size, you would get maybe like 4 or 5 little patches of ore. However, in this mod, there is one big patch right here. And that's it. There's just this one patch. So if I teleport myself here and let's give myself a drill so I can tell what's down there. It's bauxite, one of the new resources. But this entire area is bauxite. Just bauxite. And we have to go way over somewhere else if we can spot some more resources somewhere. I believe there's some stuff up on the hill here. I think this is a spot. No, there's just ice there. These spawns are few and far between, but when you do find one, and there's probably people in the comments being like, you flew right by one. Here's one. When you do find one, with this, say, I need a ore detector here. I need an ore detector of some size. What's down there? No? Really? Gold. Okay. There's gold down there. This entire area here is gold. But that's it. There's another one here. This entire area, if I teleport the whole rover over here, is silver. So what will happen is you will find these patches of resources, but they will be separated by a fair margin of, like, a fair size. So then you're going to need to transport goods together in order to make it work. Because if you just have a base at one spot, well, you're gonna run out of various items. No matter where you build your base, you can't find a spot that, say, has like a little bit of gold and a little bit of silver and a little bit of iron sort of thing, and you're good there. You're gonna have to be like, okay, well, there's the gold mine, there's the silver mine, and there's like my trucking routes or drone like airways, and oh, there's another spot here. Let's see which that one is. Oh, there's iron there. So maybe maybe you want to live near the most basic resource, which is iron. Make your base here in the middle, have an iron mine, have whatever this is, more iron, and then you want to send out resource collection into the other ways. So it forces you to have not only the large amount of logistics when it comes to how you process the items, but also where are the items and how do you get them, which is a big part of, say, something like Satisfactory, where you could be like, okay, well, I've got this base here that does this thing, and I need item X, Y, and Z, and X, Y are nearby, but Z is across the map, so I need to do something about that. It adds in another layer of complexity and more problem solving for you as you're designing your base and building up your empire. But I believe that's everything. Check out the mod. Go and on here there's a user guide. Go and read that. There's a bunch of informations in there about like everything, all the different recipes, how they're changed, what's been changed, how you're supposed to go through it with a list of like, this is how you start, this is how you get to tier 2 and stuff like that. Check it out. It's awesome. I'm thinking of using it in, say, Season 4 of the playthrough after I'm done Season 3 and my exploration of Petrem. That's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching. Good hunting out there, fellow space engineers.